This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Residents worried that as the rain keeps coming, their basements will keep flooding. The sewer problem causing all the water and why there is not a fix at the moment.
Plus, a family outraged after a deadly officer-involved shooting in South Bend. The critical evidence they say is missing after officers shoot and kill a man over the weekend. Thanks for watching Good Morning Indiana. I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Nicole Griffin. Meteorologist Todd Clausen here on another Storm Team 6 alert day. More rain, but you're saying the biggest concern is the possible flooding.
Yeah, and we'll probably be in alert mode, honestly, almost all of this week because of the flooding potential that we have out there. There's nothing new in this forecast. It's more of the same. The only thing that I can say is probably pretty good news is the threat of severe weather is fairly low today, but we do have these heavy downpours, which will lead to the potential for flooding, and that's why at the top of your screen you see that flash flood watch for many counties here across central Indiana. Heavy rain this morning from Parker City back to Muncie as we work our way westward towards Anderson and across Interstate 69. Some heavy rain. Then as we come into the Kokomo area, just south of Kokomo itself, but getting ready to cross over 931 and the bypass here with some very heavy rain. What you do not see this morning is any lightning. That is the good news. It's just some plain old heavy rain, and the heaviest of the rain is now shifted south to Seymour and North Vernon, so that is good news. So today is not a complete washout, but when it does rain, it is going to come down very heavy. You see it's very unsettled still to our south and off to our west, and once we continue to work into the peak heating of the day, we'll start to flare up additional downpours, so you really need to have the umbrella handy throughout the day today. 60s and 70s, temperature's not an issue. It's a very uncomfortable day for us today. It's not the warmest day as we get up to right around 80 degrees, but because the humidity is around, it's just going to make it uncomfortable to work up a sweat very, very quickly. So the morning hours, a stray shower downpour, then the downpours become a little more numerous as we get into the afternoon and evening hours. The time is 5:02. Time for another look at the roads. Here's Elena.
All right, thank you, Todd. If you're coming in from the southwest side on I-70 from Ronald Reagan Parkway to I-65, should take you about 12 minutes. So everything's moving along just fine for your morning drive right now. Let's hope it stays that way today. Let's take a look at the roads. Here's a look up on 465 at Harding Street. This is down on the south side. You can see right now the roads are dry for your drive. Coming up in the next 20 minutes, I'll point out an interstate closure you're going to want to pay attention to.
Elena, thank you. Right now, Metro Police are searching for the getaway car and the suspect wanted in connection to an early morning shooting. Police say someone called 911 around 1:30 this morning after hearing gunfire at the Deer Cross Apartments. That's near 38th Street and Eagle Creek Parkway on the west side.
Officers say a man in his 40s had been shot several times. He lost a lot of blood, but police say they do not believe his injuries are life-threatening. Right now, detectives say they have different descriptions of the getaway car that left that scene.
This morning, some east side residents dealing with flooded basements as the rain just keeps falling.
They say water comes into their home every time heavy rain moves through, and now they want the city to do something. Homeowners say the problem is that their flood drains are connected directly to the city sewer system. It only takes a few hours of rain for the damage to be done, something they're worried about as they keep an eye on this week's forecast.
Neighbors' cars flood. Our basement had water. Our neighbor's basement had raw sewage. It's an issue and it can be costly.
RTV6 looked into the east side flooding and found Citizens Energy is responsible. They investigated and determined the sewers were overfilled and could not keep up with this weekend's rainfall, but performed as expected. Citizens Energy says to avoid backups like this, talk to a plumber about installing a backwater valve.
The weather is also causing issues for state parks. Today, Brown County State Park and Abe Martin Lodge are closed. The Department of Natural Resources says the supply of usable water is low because of all the rain. They will reevaluate conditions each day this week and determine if the parks can open.
Today, an announcement is expected from the 4 women who accused the Indiana Attorney General of sexual harassment. Last year, the women accused Curtis Hill of drunkenly groping them at a party. Hill has always denied the claims. Back in October, the women said they planned to file a lawsuit against the Attorney General after a special prosecutor declined to press charges in the case. Stick with RTV6. We will have the latest updates from today's announcement with the women and their lawyers on the news at noon and the IndyChannel.com.
South Bend police say there was no video evidence of an officer-involved shooting that left a man dead. Police say Eric Logan was shot and killed Sunday morning after he pulled a knife on officers, but now his family is outraged after news that the cameras on both officers involved were turned off. Several South Bend city leaders attended a vigil hosted by Logan's family last night. They raised concerns about why the cameras were not recording. South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg has canceled fundraisers for his presidential campaign through Wednesday as this investigation continues.
The warmer weather means new threats when you head outside. Tick season is here, and the little critters can carry diseases that can cause lifelong problems. Our Alyssa Donovan is live this morning. Alyssa, what are some things people can do to stay safe?
So Meredith, if you're heading out into a wooded area or even just the grass in your backyard, health officials say that you need to take precautions. And one of the easiest things you can do to stay safe is to use bug repellent with at least 25% of DEET in it. And health officials say when you use this, especially when it comes to ticks, you need to concentrate on the lower half of your body, specifically your legs and your feet. That's where those ticks are going to crawl up first. So that's why you need to concentrate on some of those areas. Now, in the last several years, there has been a 25% increase in tick-related diseases here in Indiana. There are 3 different kinds of ticks that you may encounter here, but the deer tick is the one that carries the most common disease, Lyme disease. Lyme disease symptoms start like the flu and a rash and can be treated with antibiotics if it's caught early. Mary Kay Foster is the Special Pathogens Program Manager at IU Health. She says if the disease is not caught in time, it can have lifelong impacts.
Anywhere from tremors, severe headaches, a lot of neurological issues. Arthritis is another common one with Lyme's disease, joint pain. People can die from it, especially if it gets into the lining of the brain.
Now, it's not just you the ticks are interested in. Keep an eye on your pets this summer and talk to your vet about collars and medicine that help prevent ticks from latching on. Now, along with wearing insect repellent, if you do go out into any wooded areas, be sure to check yourself afterwards and make sure that you don't have any ticks on you, specifically behind your ears and under your armpits. That's where they like to hide. And coming up at 5:30, I'm going to explain how to remove a tick if it does latch on. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. Today, NDOT crews will check on a stretch of 465 one RTV6 viewer thinks is putting drivers at risk. Right now, temporary stickers mark the lanes of I-465 between the 69 split and the 56 split. The stickers only have to be placed every 50 feet. The driver we talked to say spacing is confusing and it's hard to tell where the lanes are.
It seemed like some of them were narrower and some of them were wider, and then some of the lines were going this way and that way.
Today, an NDOT project manager will check the stretch to see if extra markers are necessary. Going forward, they also plan to have contractors place the temporary stickers 30 feet apart. That's the distance permanent lane markers are typically painted. As for lane painting, it's scheduled to happen later this week, but rain could delay the project.
The Indianapolis Public School District is going to take a big step forward in the new search for a superintendent. Candidates are being interviewed today. Our Aaron Lish is live outside IPS headquarters with who is hoping to get that job. Hey, Aaron.
Good morning. So there are 3 candidates. One will become the superintendent, overseeing more than 26,000 students along with all of those teachers and staff. So let's take a look at them right now. The first we will look at is on the left hand of your screen. That is Alicia Johnson, who is currently serving as the superintendent, the interim superintendent. She has 6 years of classroom teaching experience. And then in the middle is Larry Young Jr. He's the assistant superintendent of elementary education in Pike Township in Indianapolis. He has 7 years of classroom experience. And then on the right is Devon Horton, who is currently the chief of schools for Jefferson County Schools in Louisville. He has 5 years of teaching experience. They will be interviewed at John Morton Finley Center for Educational Services. That is at 120 East Walnut Street. That will happen at 5 o'clock this afternoon. You can come in and sit in and listen to hear what they have to say. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you, Aaron. It's a Storm Team 6 alert day as once again we are dealing with the potential of some locally heavy rainfall. So our rain intensity today is up there at the high level. So when it does rain, it's going to come down quite heavy, and that's why we will have the potential also for some localized flooding here across the area, and a flash flood watch is posted. As far as this morning, you notice these isolated downpours moving through northern sections as you work your way from Anderson to Muncie, then up towards Marion into the Hartford City area. Look how these two downpours just kind of flared up pretty quickly within the last hour in Crawfordsville, and one just north of Brownsburg. So things are still very, very unsettled across the area. I think the showers are pretty spotty this morning. They become more numerous, though, as we get into the afternoon hours. Another day you need to have the rain gear handy. It's warm and muggy today with temperatures that'll be topping off right around 80 degrees. We'll talk more about your extended forecast and Maine weather coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. Still ahead, chaos in the middle of the crowd celebrating the Toronto Raptors NBA championship. What officials are now saying about a shooting that sent hundreds of people running.
Plus, scooters are now on the streets of Chicago. The problems the city is already having as they launch a test program for the rental scooters. It's 5:10. You're watching Good Morning Indiana. We'll be right back.
Weekdays at 9 on RTV6.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Time now is 5:13. Here's a look at I-465 at West 10th Street. Looks a little foggy out there on the roads right now. If you're impacted by any fog this morning, just be sure to use that caution.
Elena, thank you. Tense moments as thousands of fans packed downtown Toronto to celebrate the Raptors NBA championship.
A shooting sent fans running and police rushing in. Officials say 3 people are in custody after the shooting that forced the celebrations to pause for a few minutes. It happened less than a block from the stage where players and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau sat. 4 people were injured in the shooting, but all are expected to be okay. A motive for the shooting has not been released at this time.
This morning, we're also learning more about the gunman who opened fire outside a Dallas courthouse on Monday. Brian Isaac Clyde had just graduated from community college and was an Army vet who was discharged in 2017. Clyde started firing at the courthouse as a news photographer was headed in to cover a trial. In a split second, he snapped this picture of the suspect before hiding behind a wall of the building.
Just pray that he didn't walk past me, because I'm in plain sight, and if he saw me sitting there with a camera, I have no doubt he would have shot me. Instead, all I heard was the sound of breaking glass and repeated gunfire into the building, and he was literally just around the corner, 8 to 10 feet.
Officials say one person was injured while taking cover inside the courthouse where more than 300 people were working on Monday. The suspect died at the hospital after a shootout with police. Today, President Trump will kick off his 2020 election campaign in Florida, and his supporters are anxiously awaiting the rally. Many spent the night camping out so they can be the first ones in the arena today. Some of those supporters started showing up at 4 a.m. on Monday, more than 40 hours ahead of tonight's rally.
Arriving early, I love to be able to have almost eye contact. If I'm going to go somewhere, I want to be up front.
The Orlando Arena, where the rally will be held, can hold around 20,000 people. President Trump tweeted that large TV screens and food trucks will be outside for those who don't make it inside.
Scooters are now on the streets of the Windy City, but they are already causing some problems. The scooter pilot program in Chicago started on Saturday. 2,500 scooters were dropped off with certain restrictions. Right now, they are not allowed in the downtown loop or along the waterfront. They are supposed to shut off if they enter those prohibited areas, but several scooters were spotted being used in those locations over the weekend. After the 4-month pilot program, city officials will decide how the scooters will work long term in Chicago. It is 5:16. Let's get over to Todd on this Storm Team 6 alert day.
Yeah, we're in alert mode, not for the potential so much as severe weather here throughout the day today. That threat is actually fairly low, but we're in the alert mode for the potential of heavy rain and flash flooding here across the area. So this morning as you walk out the door, there is some areas of dense fog. It's not terrible. It's not super widespread. widespread, but it's out there. So be aware of that. And then flash flood watch for most of us, and then locally heavy downpours are out there already, and additional ones are expected to build in later on this afternoon. So most of the area is dry this morning, but where the rain is falling, it is coming down quite heavy, and that's over towards the east here, just north of Farmland, back through Selma into the Muncie area as we work our way into Delaware County around Ball State University campus there. Some heavy rain. LaPel, State Road 32, as you work from LaPel over towards the Anderson area, some very heavy rain. Then up towards Kokomo, some downpours. What you do not see is much of the way in the way of lightning here across the area. That's not much of an issue for us here. And then as we work our way from Crawfordsville over towards Shannondale on State Road 32, here over in portions of Montgomery County, some heavy rain as well. And then down to the south, some spotty showers in and around North Vernon over towards the Seymour area. So there's not a ton of rain this morning. Bulk of the rainfall is just down to our south. But as we go throughout the day, additional showers and storms will start to build in. So this morning is probably just a hit or miss downpour with lots of clouds around. But as we work our way into the peak heating of the day, isolated showers and storms will start to flare up across the area, leading to the potential of some flash flooding across the area. I don't think the downpours are probably as numerous today as they were yesterday evening or the day before, or even obviously into that severe weather event that we had on Saturday. But just today, still that you want to have that umbrella or maybe the jacket with the hood and the rain gear handy from start to finish. 60s and 70s this morning. It's very muggy as well. You'll work up a sweat very, very quickly if you're walking outside here to work out this morning. And temperatures eventually get up to near 80 degrees with these spotty showers and storms. And then going forward in this forecast, honestly, not a whole lot changes. Tomorrow, more showers and storms. Again, during the peak heating of the day, they become a little more numerous. So let's go over to TrueCast for you for tomorrow morning. We probably start off again tomorrow with a little bit of patchy fog, more clouds than anything. As we work our way into the afternoon hours, though, look how the showers and storms start to blossom across the area. And then we'll get into the potential of some heavier downpours throughout the day tomorrow. So today, I think the rain threat is spotty with some isolated downpours, a lot more widespread as we head into the day tomorrow. And that'll continue into Thursday as well. As you notice, these showers and storms just kind of spin here across us. So looking ahead, we just talked about tomorrow. Thursday, some scattered showers and storms. For Friday, we do get a bit of a break. I put mainly dry there. You can't completely rule out the chance of an isolated downpour, but it's probably the driest day of the next 7. Then very hot and steamy on Saturday. Elena, with high temperatures that could be close to 90 degrees.
All right. Thank you, Todd. Here's a look at I-465 at West 10th Street. I just showed you this camera, but just in case you missed it, take a look. It's a little foggy over there on the west side, so just be aware of that as you're making your way out on the roadways. Let's take a look at the map. On this northwest side, this closure began on Friday, so 65 northbound between 465 and I-865 up in the dog leg. That's closed, which will continue until July 1st. So to get around it, you're going to want to take 465 northbound to 865 westbound. That'll get you back to where you need to go. So if you're heading to Boone County, Chicago, any of those areas today, just plan ahead. Again, if you are heading into those areas before July 1st, plan ahead. Let's take a look at the roads right now. 465 at I-69. This is up on the northeast side, and you can see there's a car pulled over to the side, but it's not causing any problems right now, and traffic's moving along just fine.
Elena, thank you. We are just 2 days away from the NBA draft, and the Pacers have wrapped up the final workouts with the college players hoping to make a team.
While we wait to see who the Pacers land, experts have some guesses. A few mock drafts have the Pacers taking a sophomore from Virginia Tech, guard Nickel Alexander-Walker, or freshman guard from Kentucky, Tyler Harrow. Regardless of who gets drafted, the team says it's all about a long-term plan for the Pacers.
The draft is really more about future, I think. So nowadays we're drafting kids that are so young. You know, with the 18th pick this year, I don't think that that's going to be somebody that starts for us, or may not get a ton in the rotation, but it's somebody that hopefully down the road will be a key piece to what we're doing.
The NBA draft is Thursday night on ESPN. The New Orleans Pelicans have the first pick. Right now, the Pacers have picks number 18 and 50.
Still ahead, work now underway on a new police headquarters in Whitestown. How the new space will allow the department to hire even more officers, coming up in 15 minutes.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Time now 5:25. Here's a look at I-65 at the North Split. Traffic's moving along just fine in both directions. And you can see right now, the roads are dry.
Elena, thank you. People try to take a lot of strange things through airport security, but this might be one of the weirdest. A man was caught trying to smuggle 34 birds, specifically singing finches. He had the birds hidden inside hair curlers in his carry-on bag. The man told officials he was planning to sell the birds worth about $100,000 each. Well, it turns out the birds are part of a betting ring in New York where gamblers can place bets on which birds can sing the best. Maybe try something quieter next time.
All right, Todd, it's been nice working with you every morning, but we think we found your dream job. Reynolds Wrap is looking for someone to travel across the U.S. in search of the best barbecue ribs. For 2 weeks in August, you would make stops trying out ribs and posting about the experience on social media. Your travel and hotel costs are all paid for. You also get paid to eat all of those ribs. $10,000 to be exact. Reynolds is taking applications online through tomorrow at midnight.
Sold.
So if we don't
I
see
would
Todd
do that
soon,
gig
Right?
for sure.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, come back a little heavier, but $10,000 richer.
Yeah, there you go. Then you
And
can
a
just
belly full of goodness.
Yeah, use that to hire a personal trainer there to sweat off all those ribs.
Somebody's going to love that job. I can guarantee that.
Sure.
All right, outside right now, we continue to deal with some downpours making their way through the area. No lightning. That's the good news. None of this is severe, but obviously with all the rain we've had and these heavy downpours moving through that, there could be some localized flooding, and flash flood watch is posted across the area. You see the heaviest of the rain from Muncie back towards the Anderson area right now. Going forward in our forecast, unfortunately, more of the same, more showers, more storms, and temperatures in the 80s today, and tomorrow a little cooler on Thursday, but then the heat and humidity really builds back in as we head into the weekend. The time now is 5:27. Stay with Good Morning Indiana. We'll be right back.
Only on RTV6 News.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Off the top at 5:30, it is a Storm Team 6 alert day. Good morning, I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Nicole Griffin. Unfortunately, the forecast is not exactly what people want to hear.
Yeah, Todd, we were hoping that maybe there was some major error and we were really going to see sunshine all week, but it looks like that is not the case.
Yeah, no, certainly not the case. I mean, we'll probably work a little bit of sunshine in, should say, at times here throughout the course of the work week, but there's lots of rain opportunities as well, and some of that's happening already here this morning as you work your way just north of Winchester here back over towards the Ward and Farmland area. Selma to Muncie, some very heavy rain. Over to Chesterfield, Daleville, and to Anderson, some pockets of heavy rain. No lightning, though. That's the good news. This is just some plain old rain and then some spotty showers down to the south. They've pushed south of Seymour, which is great news because this area has had a lot of rainfall, nearly 7 to 10 inches of rain over the past 48 hours. And here are these showers as they continue to lift off towards the northeast. So have the rain gear handy. Again, there's not a ton going on as far as shower activity and downpours right now, but we'll build in additional downpours as the day goes on. Temperatures currently in the 60s across the area. Going forward in this forecast, more of the same, a lot of heat, a lot of humidity with temperatures near 80 degrees with some isolated thunderstorms building in as we get into the afternoon hours. Elena.
All right, thank you, Todd. Here's a look at I-74 at Dandy Trail. Now, this is over on that west side right now. You can see in the distance, maybe it looks like the sun is rising, so it's a beautiful sunrise we're going to have, but you can see traffic's moving along just fine. Let's take a look at the map coming in from this northeast side, heading southbound on I-69 from Huntington Avenue down to 465 should only take you about 5 minutes, so traffic's moving along just fine for your drive. Let's take a look at this stretch right now. Here's a look at I-69 at 96th Street. The roads are dry. Looks a little foggy up there. If you're impacted by any fog or later on in the day rainfall, just be sure to use that caution.
Elena, thank you. Breaking overnight, Metro Police are searching for the suspect in an early morning shooting. Police say someone called 911 around 1:30 this morning after hearing gunfire at the Deer Cross Apartments. That's near 38th Street and Eagle Creek Parkway on the west side. Officers say a man in his 40s was shot several times, but they do expect him to survive. This morning, detectives say they have many different descriptions on the getaway car that left the scene.
We all know that sound. Outdoor sirens are supposed to help warn us of severe weather.
Lots of you reached out to us when you did not hear that familiar noise as a tornado was causing damage in Beech Grove.
The sirens did eventually go off, but about 40 minutes later when Marion County wasn't under a tornado warning.
Then the sirens go off, telling us to get to safety. And we all joked about it and laughed about it, like, oh, thanks for the warning. And realistically, if it had been a worse tornado, then people could have gotten really hurt because there was no siren.
Call 6 Investigates learned Marion County sirens are managed and operated by IMPD's Homeland Security Bureau. They use 4 computers across the county to set off the sirens. IMPD says the computer at Marion County's Emergency Operations Center is usually what controls the sirens, but because the center does not operate 24 hours a day, it was under the control of the Marion County Sheriff's Office dispatch when those tornadoes hit. We reached out to the Marion County Sheriff's Office for a response. We will let you know when we hear back. For much more coverage of the tornado aftermath, including reaction and pictures, download the RTV6 app. You can also use the app for everything you need to know about the forecast.
Well, the hallways may be quiet for the most part at Indianapolis Public Schools, but there will be plenty of activity today in the district as candidates interview to become the new IPS superintendent. Our Aaron Lish is live at their headquarters with the background of each person going for the job. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning. So starting at 5 this afternoon, you can listen to who will represent the district and ultimately watch over your children and the 26,000 students at IPS. So the first person you're seeing on your screen is Larry Young Jr. He's the Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Education in Pike Township in Indianapolis. He has 7 years of classroom experience. Next is Devon Horton, who's right now is the Chief of Schools for Jefferson County Schools in Louisville. He has 5 years of teaching experience. And then finally, Alicia Johnson, who's currently serving as the district's interim superintendent. She has 6 years of classroom teaching experience. You can head to the John Morton Finney Center for Education Services. That is at 120 East Walnut Street to see these interviews this afternoon, again at 5 o'clock. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Aaron, thank you so much. Well, this morning, community leaders on the far east side of Indianapolis are celebrating a bit of a milestone. Leaders say the area has gone 1 year without a homicide. The 10-Point Coalition and Indiana Attorney General's office call Monday's milestone a day of progress. Indianapolis and Lawrence leaders are praising 10-Point for the group's work to fight violence. Members say 10-Point gives people living in the area hope.
We've stepped up. The brothers and sisters that are in these vests, we have stepped up to the plate to feed our own communities. That's right. And to help our people in these communities because we give them hope.
Last summer, the 10-Point Coalition expanded its reach thanks to a $50,000 grant from the Indiana Attorney General's office.
The investigation into a deadly apartment fire in Elwood continues this morning. Authorities say the fire started in the victim's apartment at 1638 South B Street. Firefighters say when they arrived on scene, they learned someone may be inside and searched the apartment. A 59-year-old man was found inside the burning building and was pronounced dead at the scene. Fire officials say they're still working to determine what started the fire.
An Indiana man accused of catfishing a woman in Alaska, now indicted by a grand jury for murder after convincing her he'd pay millions for her to murder someone and send him photos. This morning, we're learning more about the arrest of 21-year-old Darren Shillmiller from New Salisbury. Police in Alaska say Shillmiller convinced 18-year-old Denali Brimmer, the woman he was having a relationship with online, to commit a murder. Court records say Brimmer enlisted friends by telling them they would receive substantial shares of money for their part of the planning and execution of the murder. Shillmiller was originally arrested and charged with production and receipt of child pornography when investigators found child porn on Brimmer's phone that she'd sent to him. He's now awaiting extradition to Alaska.
A new $3 million police headquarters is scheduled to open next year in Whitestown. The building will be on 6 acres of land at Veterans Drive, where the Whitestown Municipal Complex is located. Officials officials held a groundbreaking for the project on Monday. Right now, the police department operates out of a small wing inside the municipal complex. Chief Public Safety Officer Dennis Anderson says the new facility is desperately needed as the town and department grows.
We'll be hiring more officers as the years go forward. The council's already gave us the blessing for 4 additional new patrol officers next year, and our 5-year growth plan has us taking out at least 10 more additional officers over the next 10 years.
The building includes space for a detective division, a computer forensic lab, a training room and fitness facilities, a holding cell, and traffic court.
Hiring Hoosiers is our commitment to connect you to jobs, resources, and training. Officials in southern Indiana say PharmaCord will build a new operations call center in Jeffersonville. The new facility will create 850 jobs by the end of 2023. The Indiana Economic Development Corporation says the Kentucky-based company will spend $52 million to create the new facility in Clark County. PharmaCord plans on hiring immediately for a number of positions, including customer service representatives and specialty nurses.
Health officials are warning people to be prepared before heading outside this summer. That's because there's an increase in tick-related diseases here in Indiana. Our Alyssa Donovan is live this morning. Alyssa, what should someone do if they find a tick latched on them?
So Meredith, I spoke with health specialists about what they should do, and one thing they said is that you need to have the right equipment, which in this case is a pair of tweezers, but they recommend that you don't just go in and pull that bug out. They say you need to take your time, and what you should do is actually put the tweezers on the spot that the tick has latched on and just apply pressure. Hopefully then the tick will just let go and let you pull it right out of your arm. So that's their recommendation. Now, if you don't get the whole tick out on your first try, they say you should put a Band-Aid on it and then go see your doctor to remove the rest because it can get infected. The same technique goes for if your pets get a tick on them. Health officials say they are just as susceptible to ticks and the diseases that they carry. Protect your pets by getting them a specialized collar or a monthly treatment. You should also give your animals a quick check when they come inside.
So check your pets. When your pets come in at night, definitely give them some extra loving, rub those ears, check underneath their legs. Look just to make sure that they don't have any ticks on them. And if they do, use the same technique, pair of tweezers, gently pull those things off.
Now, according to the Center for Disease Control, every year hundreds of thousands of people are bitten by ticks and get sick. That's why they want to take steps to protect you and your loved ones and your pets. And of course, one of those easier steps that you can take is using insect repellent with at least 25% of DEET in it and concentrating your spray on the bottom half of your body, including your legs and your feet. And if you do go outside, just give yourself a quick check to make sure that you haven't picked up a tick in the process. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
All right, thank you, Alyssa. The time now is 4:40. Certainly great tips here, especially with the grass really growing these days. With all the rain we've seen this morning, it's warm. It's very muggy out there. You'll notice that as soon as you walk out the door with mostly cloudy skies and a few isolated downpours moving through. The heaviest of the rain all morning long has been up here in Delaware County. As you work your way through much of Muncie into the Ball State area, then as we cross county lines just north of Winchester, we have some heavy rainfall, and then back towards Anderson and into Madison County, we have some heavy downpours. To the south, some light rain moving back up into Bedford, exactly what we do not need in Lawrence and Jackson County here. You've seen a tremendous amount of rainfall really since Saturday, and this is not going to help things. And we do have a flash flood watch in effect for all of southern portions of central Indiana this morning, and that's probably going to stay into effect, to be honest, for the next few days as we'll continue to build in more downpours throughout the day today. So have the rain gear handy. Eventually temperatures climb up into the low 80s for most of us. Again, with the elevated humidity across the area, going to be another uncomfortable day weather-wise. We'll talk more about your extended forecast, which honestly is much of the same, coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. A building collapse in Kentucky destroys thousands of bourbon barrels. Straight ahead, what investigators say caused the building to come crashing down. A former superintendent of Gary Community Schools is set for a September 30th trial on charges she double-billed the Cash-strapped district for expenses at a conference. Cheryl Pruitt was charged last October with theft and official misconduct for allegedly double-billing nearly $1,200 in luxury expenses at a 2016 Los Angeles conference. Pruitt was hired as Gary's schools chief in 2012. She resigned last year after an emergency manager took over the district as it faced more than $100 million in debt.
The U.S. will send 1,000 more troops to the Middle East as tensions with Iran continue to tick up. The acting defense secretary announced the deployment in a statement Monday. He reiterated the fact that the U.S. is not looking for a conflict with Iran. He says the troops are being sent for defensive purposes to protect U.S. interests in the area. The U.S. continues to blame Iran for the attack last week on 2 tankers in a key shipping area. Iran denies any involvement, adding to escalating tensions. Tehran has announced it will no longer comply with a deal that keeps it from making nuclear weapons.
Investigators in Kentucky are trying to figure out why a portion of a bourbon storehouse collapsed, taking around 4,500 barrels with it. Officials say, fortunately, no one was injured, but you can see the mess the collapse caused at the O.Z. Tyler Distillery in Owensboro. It will take at least a month to clean up the debris, stabilize the remainder of the building, and remove all of that bourbon. Officials say they think strong storms led to the building collapsing. Time now is 5:47. Todd, we are going to have some rain today, but thankfully these storms aren't going to be considered strong or severe.
Yeah, I think the heavy rain is the biggest impact. There could be a little bit of lightning mixed in, but we're not expecting any widespread severe weather here throughout the day today. But we're in alert mode for several reasons. There's some patchy fog out there this morning, which will limit your visibility on the roadways. Then we build in those downpours. And our biggest threat is flash flooding once again. And I'll show you the flash flood watch that's in effect for a good chunk of the area here in just a second. But let's talk about where it's raining. First here this morning, the heaviest of the rain all morning long has been up to the north, and these downpours really haven't moved a whole lot from just north of Winchester as you work your way up US 27 into portions of Jay County. There's some heavy rainfall back off to the west through farmland, through Selma, into portions of Muncie there by the Muncie Regional Airport. Ball State, some heavy rainfall, and as we slide a little further off towards the west, some heavy downpours in Madison County in and around the Anderson area. You do not see any lightning, no. That is the good news. This is just purely rain, and then there's this one little downpour that's kind of weakened a little bit as it's made its way out of Crawfordsville, just north of Advance and south of Thorntown, an isolated shower. But look at the rain that's moved back up to the north now, down in the Bedford and Mitchell area, over into Seymour. This is an area, if you live down there, you well know that you've had anywhere from about 7 to 10 inches of rain since Saturday afternoon. The ground is completely saturated, and we've had flash flood warnings there the past few days, and this rain is certainly not going to help. So especially now that it's still dark, although the sun's going to start to brighten the sky a little bit here shortly, if you encounter any flooded roadways, do not try to go through that high water, as you have no idea how deep it is, and kind of just slow yourself down too, because you can come up on that high water pretty quickly. Here's the flash flood watch for all the counties, basically from I-70 southward, with a few additional counties to the north of I-70 under that watch as well. But everybody will have the chance of these downpours throughout the day today. So here comes that next band of rain that's lifting to the north. That'll keep some rain in southern locations throughout the course of the day today. But look at the downpours that flare up once again during the peak heating of the day. So everybody has the chance of some heavy rain throughout the day today. It's probably just not as widespread as it has been the past few days, but your rain gear is really needed as you walk out the door this morning. Not much of a view with the fog that we're locked in with. Temperatures in the 60s and 70s. It's a very warm and muggy morning, and throughout the day today, temperatures will be climbing throughout the 60s into the 70s, up into the low 80s with that threat of rain at any point throughout the day today. Now, tomorrow, the storms become a little more numerous once again across the area with some heavy downpours. Thursday, some storms are likely. A little bit of a break on Friday. The rain chances aren't completely zero, but they're diminished on Friday, and then they build back in for the weekend. But Saturday, potentially, some areas could get close to 90 degrees with very high humidity, so certainly going to be a steamy steamy day for us as we start off the weekend. Elena?
Going to be a hot one. Thank you, Todd. As you're hitting the roads this morning, we still have this closure on the northwest side. It's going to continue until July 1st, so plan ahead, pay attention, especially if you're heading towards Boone County. Northbound 65 closed between 465 and I-865 up in that dogleg area. So to get around it, you're going to take 465 northbound to 865 westbound. So again, this will continue for about another week and a half, 2 weeks. So plan ahead with this. Let's take a look at the roads right now. This is up on the north side, so I just noticed that traffic is beginning to pick up over here. 465 at Ditch Road in both eastbound and westbound lanes. So if this is part of your drive, expect a little bit of a delay. You can always use 86th Street if you want to avoid any of those delays.
Elena, thank you. The Trending 6 is next here on RTV6. Coming up, does the B in Cardi B now stand for bathrobe?
Well, we will explain the star's latest onstage style just ahead.
You are simply the best.
Before you head out the door, it's time for the Trending 6.
These are some of the stories that everyone is sharing online and you'll want to know about.
Why is Cardi B performing in a bathrobe here? Well, it's because her jumpsuit ripped a few songs into her set at the Bonnaroo Festival in Tennessee. She apparently didn't have a change of clothes handy, so she went backstage, got in the robe, and as they say, the show must go on. And she was probably a lot more comfortable, too, to be honest.
Just got to make it work. Well, more Mario is coming. Nintendo has announced the release date for its latest mobile game. Dr. Mario will be available for iOS and Android on July 10th. A new trailer gives the first real look at the game, which appears to be pretty different from other versions of Dr. Mario.
A new Hunger Games book and movie are in the works. It's set to be released in May of 2020. It will be a prequel set 64 years before the events of the trilogy. It takes place during the 10th annual Hunger Games, which pits citizens of Panem against each other for survivals.
30 minutes fast and free. Domino's Pizza delivers.
Delivery from Domino's has changed over the years, and there's about to be an even bigger change. A driverless car company called Nuro is teaming up with Domino's, and the pizza company says it will soon start testing delivery using one of its robot cars. Houston will be the test market, and if it works, Domino's will roll it out to other cities.
One little girl in Colorado celebrating a big accomplishment with some pizza. This 10-year-old climber may be the youngest person ever to scale Yosemite's El Capitan. Selah Schneider conquered the 3,000-foot nose route with her dad, who's an experienced climber. El Capitan is considered one of the world's ultimate challenges for climbers. Look at her go.
Finally, here's video of Michelle Obama clocking Harry Styles below the belt. Well, maybe if you aren't a fan of Harry, you could watch that all day. This was from a game of celebrity dodgeball with a U.S. team against a British team put together by late-night host James Corden. The Brits got revenge with Benedict Cumberbatch nailing the former First Lady. Then he kind of looks like he feels guilty about it.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of like some unwritten rule that you wouldn't hit Michelle Obama with a dodgeball, but
oh man,
yeah,
I haven't played dodgeball in years.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, and I'm okay with that.
Get a GMI dodgeball game going.
No,
I got Todd on my team.
Which one of you will I target first?
Meredith and Elena versus us, Todd.
No,
right.
I'm going to end up with like a broken nose, so we need to keep this moneymaker intact.
You'll look good either way. All right, outside right now, it's warm, it's muggy, temperatures in the 60s and 70s. We have a few isolated downpours out there. Nothing severe, but this could lead to a little bit of localized flooding, and there is a flash flood watch for a good chunk of the area for the day today. So some patchy fog this morning, warm and muggy conditions from start to finish here throughout the day today. Our high temperature gets up to 82 degrees, but especially this afternoon, look for more downpours to flare up. Although we are not expecting any widespread severe weather today, certainly the flooding will be our biggest issue here going forward throughout the day today.
Todd, thank you. Are these temporary lane markings on I-465 putting drivers at risk? Coming up at 6 o'clock, the changes INDOT officials are making after we take your concerns to them. It's 5:57. You're watching Good Morning Indiana. We'll be right back.